Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Friday, February 21st. We are back. We got 9 games to go over. Once again, I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and Twitter. Now come join us at LionStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all one low price, or you can have the $239 yearly option if you want to save some cash. Now, let's dig in. Starting position by position, as always, we're starting at the point guard spot. 26% owned Cole Anthony. Last night he had a game. He played 32 minutes. Did very well in a very up-pace, up-tempo spot. I do worry about him a little bit more in this spot. 1, Grizzlies very tough versus point guard. 2, I can't trust the minutes. I mean, he was playing 22 or so starting before the break and then just played 32. So I don't know if they are recommitting to going with Cole Anthony as the starter with Suggs out, or if it was just a fact of he played well, so they gave him more leash. So while I like Cole Anthony, I think there's reasons to be cautious with him at this type of ownership. I would say watch ownership throughout the day. If the ownership comes down big time, I'm, going to be playing some regardless, but I am just going to be very cautious with him at high ownership. I think there's a lot to lose going here, but there's definite upside. If he plays 32 minutes again at these prices, he's a steal. It's just, you got to make up your mind if you think that is for real, or if the genie goes back in the bottle and he's 22 minutes tonight. Next, we got Steph Curry, 8,600, 25% owned. Dude has been playing very well with Jimmy Butler. His shooting percentage is up. His true shooting is up. There's just more space on the court for Curry to work, and that's worked out well. And now we got a 237 game total in a spot that he can absolutely do very well versus the Kings. It's an average 3-point spot, which really makes or breaks Curry, and obviously average for him, it means a very good spot for him. He is fine with it. I think he could do very well. Next, we got Brandon Podemski, 5,700. One of the things that I think was super interesting, using the usage matrix, I put in Jimmy Butler on the court. Podemski is averaging over a fantasy point per minute with Jimmy B on the court. Yes, some of that is with Curry out, but even with the two of them in, he's still around 1 fantasy per minute. If he gets the start, I'm super interested in Podemski. Don't totally know what they're going to do with their lineup because they change it all frequently. We never really know what Steve Kerr's up to, but this is a spot I am interested. I hope they go Curry, Podemski, Moody, Butler, and Green. I think they very much could. They got on the other side, Keegan Murray isn't a really big 4. So I think it matches up well where Green would just be on Sabonis, which is fine as well. I think I don't think, Green's giving up too much size to slow down Sabonis there. So I think we're fine. That is the starting lineup, I hope. And I'm going to absolutely play Podemski if he's in this starting lineup. If you heard that, I'm sorry. Little girl is still sick. I just have her downstairs. She's on the walkie-talkie trying to contact me. But we'll keep this rolling now. So let's get into some pivots here. Chris Paul's obviously there. You can play him if you want. There's no Wemby. Big time ceiling is there. A fine spot versus Pistons. Kyrie Irving. I love this spot for Kyrie. 9,200 versus the Pelicans, who haven't been great versus point guard. Huge ceiling, and he kind of got it rolling towards the end of before All-Star break. I definitely am interested in Irving. Dante Exum got up to 24 minutes before the All-Star break. If he's, even further ahead of that, I think he's pretty interesting. He is still going to be under some sort of minute limit, so it's not like he's just going to go to 32 minutes, but If he's playing 22, 23 minutes at his price, it's a little interesting. Don't mind getting some. Kevin Porter Jr., 5,100. Before the break, he played 15 minutes and last night 15 minutes. Game before that, 22 minutes with this Bucks team. There's no Lillard. I think there's a very good chance that Porter's starting and could play decent minutes in this situation. So interested in Porter. Him or Rawlings are probably going to start. Maybe both of them. And I wouldn't be surprised, if both don't get huge run, but get, 24-ish minutes or something like that and are interesting. I wouldn't play Rawlings unless he's starting. Even if he's starting, his minutes are a little worrisome. Jalen Brunson, 9,100. He did very well yesterday, put up 48. Wasn't quite enough to get you there, but I like him again in this spot. He just gets a huge bump up without Hart, and Hart is out. OG Anunoby, I think, is very questionable. I think there is a chance that OG plays tonight, but he could sit out, and that just is even a more bump for Brunson. Definitely am interested in him. And then on the other side, Darius Garland. We've talked about this Cavs team just blowing out everybody all year long. And in these games where they could play a couple extra minutes, these starters, they all start to look super interesting. And Garland is one that's popping up for me a little bit. I think you can push their minutes a little bit further tonight. And if that's the case, we got him at 31, but if he plays 33, 34, he's probably going to do very, very well this slate at these prices. Manuel Quickly is in a decent spot here. His minutes are, back to 30 plus versus the Heat, who are 29th overall. I'm fine taking some shots there. Not going to go super hard on it, though. And then Miles McBride, I just want to talk about here because if OG is out, he probably slides into the starting lineup again. Had a huge game. I would not expect the same type output from him in this spot as it's a much harder matchup, but I am interested in Miles McBride for sure. Now, I should preface that I'm very interested if he starts. If he doesn't start, I'm not going to go too hard on him. Point guard on DraftKings, Brunson, Elford. Oh, that's yesterday. All right, so we got a 6-game slate here, and on point guard, we got high-owned De'Aaron Fox, 37% owned. 8,200 is too cheap without Wemby. He's going to have a ton of usage. Ball's going to be in his hands a lot. He's going to play a ton of minutes. 8,200, I would probably just do it. Quickly, 6,200, very interested in. Rollins, 3,600, probably starting, might not. But the one thing I got to worry about is 26 minutes, 18, 16, 29, 22, 31. His minutes are very, very hard to trust, but he's super cheap, so I get it if you want to play there. Shooting guard, on to FanDuel, Cole Anthony, 26% owned, 4,800. Talked about him. Podziemski, Exum we talked about. Gary Trent should get some extra run with Prince out and with Lillard. Fine sprinkling him in. Porter we covered. We should covered everybody else. So we're moving on over to shooting guard on DraftKings. Fox, Christie, Kevin Porter Jr. Christie should get some solid run here. Solid minutes. He's played well. I would expect around 32, 34 minutes. I don't think he's starting. We do have him at starter right now. That could happen. But I think with Irvin playing, Exum healthy, Exum playing, I think he slides back into the 6-man role, which is fine. He's going to get a lot of work. He's been 30 plus every single game that he's had with the Mavs. I'm fine going back there in this spot. Porter we covered. Vince Williams questionable. And getting on over to small forward. High owned Jimmy Butler, 28% owned, 7,900. I think that is way too cheap for Jimmy Butler. I absolutely will be playing some Jimmy B in this spot. He's just too dangerous in this lineup. Can do too many different things with the ball. Very interested. Wiggins, 6,200. Think he's priced efficiently. Don't really have a big lean one way or the other, but I do think he's going a little high owned. Keldon Johnson, 4,200. Probably plays 22, 24 minutes off the bench, and that could get you there. I'm fine sprinkling him in, but not going to go 22%. That is for sure. Pivot-wise, Kyle Kuzma, 7,100. Look, he really hasn't been playing well with this Milwaukee team, but at least it is versus the Wizards here, and there's no Damian Lillard, so I do think more usage will be going his way. I'm going to sprinkle in some Kuzma. I think it's an interesting spot. Jaden McDaniels, 6,200. Guy was crushing it before the break, and without Randall there, I think he can still absolutely do it. There's still no Dante DiVincenzo. They are limited, and they really are going to need him to play decently in this spot. Don't mind some Jaden. Getting over to DK, Christie, Vince Williams. Vince Williams is questionable, 3,100. Won't play big minutes even if he does play. I wouldn't really have much of him. Vassell, 6K. The ceiling is there. He didn't get there last game, but he played 33 minutes. I'd expect that. No Wemby. He can get it going. It's just the situation that it's, he's really a guard. I know he's playing small forward, but it's a situation. We have, 4 guards on this team you got to really consider, being Vassell, Castle, Fox, and Paul. Just a lot of mouths to feed, so it's kind of hard to get to some Spurs for me. Kuzma, Barrett, all that we talked about. Getting on over to power forward here. Jimmy B, Keldon Johnson, Andrew Wiggins. Covered all 3 of those, but we got some pivots to talk about. Draymond Green, I absolutely love if he is starting at center. Fine with having some at power forward, but if he's starting at center, I definitely want some of him in this spot. I just think he can do so much with the ball as far as rebounding. Being in the center spot probably gives him a rebound or 2 extra, and then he's still going to be the same facilitator he is in offense, and there's just so many more weapons with him at center on the court that I find him very, very interesting. Kyle Kuzma, we talked. Jaden, we talked. And Precious Achiuwa once again slides into the starting lineup. There's big-time variance. He can go for 40 or high 20s versus him, but the one spot I want to attack versus the Cleveland Cavaliers consistently is this power forward spot. While Mobley is a very, very good defender, it's big time because he's helping other people and whatnot, which sometimes let his guy get open a bit. So a little interest in Precious for sure. Now, getting over to power forward on DraftKings, we got Paulo Banchero, Santi Aldama, and PJ Washington. Aldama at 4,500 is definitely interesting. He can get hot and do enough. Tough spot versus Orlando, though. Banchero, I'm a little interested in him. Put up 58. Went real well versus Atlanta. Gonna have some. Not gonna go super, super hard on him, though. I still do worry a little that, they're just babying him a little bit. Maybe he doesn't get his full minutes on a back-to-back. PJ Washington, 7,200. I think he's extremely interesting if he's playing. He is questionable. They don't have any big men right now, really. So there's a chance he's starting at center, and it just raises his ceiling. So absolutely interested in there. Center on FanDuel, we got Jalen Duren, 6,900, 13% owned. I'm probably going to be 15, 18% on him, something like that, versus the Spurs with no Wemby. Absolutely interested. On the other side, if Bassie is playing and starting, super interested in him. But I think Bassie gets, 18, 20 minutes, something like that regardless. And Bassie is something somebody I would be interested in. Cat at 10K, I'm in. With no heart, he just gets another uptick in usage, and I love it. And if OG's out there, like it even more. Pivot-wise, Green we covered. Wendell Carter Jr. played 32 minutes last game. If he is back to playing 30-plus minutes at 4,700, I love him. Don't mind playing a decent amount of him. Brook Lopez is one that's going way under-owned. Just shot very well. Now he gets the Wizard matchup, which is cake. And we know he can, block shots, do a lot of things. If this matchup gives him more rebounds, and with his, offensive prowess or ability to shoot, I think he's interesting. The big ceiling is there. and a decent floor. I mean, if you see, he's just like 28 game in, game out, but can give you those bursts of mid 40s or close to 50. So interested in him, interested in Chua. We talked about that already. Getting over to center on DraftKings, Wendell Carter Jr., Cat, PJ Washington. Talked about them all. That'll do it for us today, guys. Finished this week. We will be back next week with more and getting into this stretch run. It is the most exciting time for me in the NBA. I'll be hitting it hard. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace.